Sarah Martinez had always dreamed of serving her country. Growing up in a small Texas town where military service was deeply respected, she watched her grandfather's old Navy photographs with wide-eyed wonder. His stories of honor, duty, and brotherhood filled her childhood imagination. When she turned 18, there was no question about her path forward. The recruitment office buzzed with activity that Tuesday morning. Young men and women from all walks of life filled out paperwork, their faces a mixture of determination and nervous excitement. Sarah sat quietly in the corner, her application already completed in neat handwriting. She had prepared for this moment for months, studying naval history, physical fitness requirements, and military protocols. Sarah Martinez, called the recruiter, a stern-faced petty officer with decades of experience etched in the lines around his eyes. "Yes, sir," she responded, standing immediately and walking with purpose to his desk. The interview went smoothly. Her test scores were exceptional, her physical fitness evaluations impressive, and her motivation clear and genuine. Within weeks, she received her acceptance letter to Naval Training Command Great Lakes. The day she held that letter in her trembling hands marked the beginning of a journey that would test every fiber of her being. Boot camp was exactly as challenging as she had expected, perhaps even more so. The physical demands pushed her body to its limits, while the mental pressures tested her resolve daily. Fellow recruits came from diverse backgrounds: city kids who had never seen the ocean, farm boys who knew hard work, college graduates seeking purpose, and others like her who had dreamed of this moment their entire lives. During those intense weeks of training, Sarah discovered strength she never knew she possessed. She mastered the art of folding clothes into perfect squares, learned to make her bunk so tight a quarter would bounce off the blanket, and memorized countless naval traditions and procedures. The drill instructors were relentless, but fair. They pushed everyone equally hard, breaking down civilian habits and building military discipline. Her specialty training began after boot camp graduation. Sarah had chosen electronics technician as her rate, drawn to the complex systems that kept naval vessels operational. The technical school challenged her in new ways, requiring her to master intricate circuit diagrams, troubleshoot sophisticated equipment, and understand the critical role electronics played in modern naval operations. Months of intensive study followed. Mathematics that once seemed abstract now had direct applications to radar systems and communication equipment. Physics principles governed the operation of the sophisticated technology she would soon maintain and repair. Sarah excelled in her coursework, earning recognition from her instructors and the respect of her classmates. The day she received her orders to report to Naval Base Norfolk came with mixed emotions. Excitement about finally beginning her real naval career mixed with nervousness about proving herself in an operational environment. She would be assigned to the USS Hampton, a Los Angeles-class attack submarine that represented the cutting edge of naval technology. Norfolk Naval Base sprawled across thousands of acres, home to the largest naval installation in the world. Ships of every size and description lined the piers: destroyers, cruisers, aircraft carriers, and submarines. The sight took Sarah's breath away. This was where she would begin her service to the nation she loved. Checking into her new command involved a maze of administrative procedures. She collected her berthing assignment, received her identification cards, and attended numerous briefings about base policies and procedures. Each step brought her closer to reporting aboard her first ship. The USS Hampton sat moored at the submarine piers, its black hull gleaming in the Virginia sunshine. 110 meters of the most sophisticated underwater vessel ever built, designed to operate in the ocean's depths while maintaining complete stealth. Sarah stood at the pier's edge, studying the submarine that would become her home for months at a time. Her sea bag contained everything she would need for life aboard the submarine: uniforms pressed to perfection, personal items carefully selected for minimal space requirements, and technical manuals she had already begun studying. The transition from shore-based training to shipboard life would require another period of adjustment. Walking up the gangway for the first time, Sarah felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. She was no longer a student or trainee, she was a sailor in the United States Navy, entrusted with protecting her nation's interests and maintaining the freedom of the seas. Her childhood dreams had led her to this moment, standing on the deck of a nuclear-powered attack submarine. The officer of the deck checked her orders and welcomed her aboard with the traditional naval greeting. Sarah's heart swelled with pride as she saluted the flag and requested permission to come aboard. This was where her real journey would begin, in the cramped compartments and sophisticated control rooms of one of America's most advanced warships. Life aboard the USS Hampton proved more challenging than Sarah had anticipated. The submarine's interior was a maze of narrow passageways, low overhead clearances, and spaces packed with equipment. Every square inch served a purpose, and learning to navigate efficiently required weeks of practice. Her berthing area consisted of a narrow bunk stacked 3 high, with barely enough room to sit upright. The crew of 130 sailors worked in rotating shifts to keep the submarine operational around the clock. Sarah's division, responsible for the boat's electronic systems, included 15 experienced technicians who had served on multiple deployments. As the newest member, she faced the dual challenge of proving her technical competence while adapting to the unique culture of submarine warfare. Her division chief, Senior Chief Petty Officer Williams, was a 20-year veteran who had served on 6 different submarines. His weathered face and calm demeanor reflected the confidence that came from years of operating in one of the most demanding environments imaginable. He took personal responsibility for training new sailors, understanding that their competence could mean the difference between mission success and failure. "Martinez," he said during her first week aboard, "submarine electronics are different from anything you learned in school. These systems have to work flawlessly thousands of feet underwater, where a single malfunction could compromise the entire boat. You're going to learn every circuit, every component, and every backup system until you can troubleshoot problems in complete darkness." The training regimen was intensive. Sarah spent her off-watch hours studying technical manuals and practicing on training equipment. The submarine's electronic systems were incredibly complex: radar arrays, sonar equipment, navigation systems, communication gear, and the sophisticated computers that integrated everything into a cohesive whole. Each system had multiple redundancies and backup procedures that had to be mastered completely. Her first deployment came 3 months after reporting aboard. The submarine departed Norfolk on a gray October morning, sliding beneath the waves as the Virginia coastline disappeared behind them. For the next 4 months, the USS Hampton would patrol in the North Atlantic, conducting training exercises and real-world missions that remained classified long after their completion. Underwater life demanded constant vigilance. Every sailor had to maintain perfect silence during certain operations, communicating through hand signals and written notes. The smallest noise could potentially reveal their position to enemy sensors, compromising missions that had taken months to plan. Sarah learned to walk softly, speak quietly, and perform her duties with the smooth efficiency that characterized professional submariners. The electronic systems she maintained were critical to the submarine's stealth capabilities. Sonar equipment had to operate at peak efficiency to detect other vessels while remaining undetected themselves. Navigation systems required constant calibration to maintain precise positioning without using GPS signals that could reveal their location. Communication equipment had to function reliably when the submarine surfaced to transmit messages to fleet headquarters. During her second month underwater, Sarah faced her first real emergency. The submarine's main radar system experienced a critical failure during a training exercise with surface ships. The problem occurred deep in the equipment compartments, where space was extremely limited and access required crawling through narrow openings between machinery. "Martinez, you're the smallest person in the division," Senior Chief Williams announced. "We need you to access the backup processor array and replace the damaged circuit board. The space is tight, but you should be able to reach it." Sarah gathered her tools and spare parts, then squeezed through the access panel into the confined space behind the radar equipment. The compartment was barely large enough for her body, with sharp edges and hot surfaces threatening injury with every movement. Working by flashlight, she diagnosed the problem and carefully replaced the faulty component. The repair was successful, restoring full radar capability within 2 hours. Her division mates expressed genuine appreciation for her technical skill and willingness to tackle the difficult assignment. That night, she felt truly accepted as a member of the crew for the first time since coming aboard. Shore leave came after 4 months underwater, and Sarah looked forward to feeling sunlight on her face again. The submarine surfaced off the coast of Spain, where they would spend a week in port for routine maintenance and crew rest. Walking on solid ground felt strange after months of adjusting to the submarine's gentle rolling motion. The crew scattered throughout the Spanish port city, eager to experience normal life again after months of confinement. Sarah joined several shipmates for dinner at a local restaurant, savoring fresh food and the luxury of unlimited space. These breaks were essential for maintaining morale during long deployments, providing necessary respite from the intense demands of submarine operations. However, not every shore leave experience was positive. During their stop in Gibraltar, Sarah encountered her first taste of discrimination in uniform. Walking through the town with two male shipmates, they decided to visit a popular restaurant that catered to international military personnel. The establishment was known for welcoming sailors from various nations and had a reputation for excellent food and friendly service. The hostess greeted Sarah's companions warmly, but her expression changed noticeably when she looked at Sarah. After a brief hesitation, she led them to a table in the back corner of the restaurant, far from the windows and main dining area. Sarah noticed the difference in treatment but chose not to comment, hoping it was simply coincidence. Throughout the meal, the service remained noticeably cooler toward her than her male companions. Orders took longer to arrive, water glasses remained empty, and the server seemed to avoid making eye contact with her. The subtle but unmistakable pattern of discrimination left Sarah feeling frustrated and unwelcome, despite wearing the same uniform as her respected shipmates. The incidents of disrespect towards Sarah's uniform became more frequent as her naval career progressed. After completing her first deployment, she received orders to attend advanced electronics training in San Diego. The cross-country transfer provided an opportunity to visit family in Texas, where she hoped to find the warm reception and pride she deserved. Her homecoming began wonderfully. Her parents beamed with pride as she stepped off the plane in her dress blue uniform, the ribbons and insignia representing months of dedicated service. Her grandfather, now in his 80s but still sharp, examined her uniform with the keen eye of a former sailor. His approval meant everything to her, connecting her service to the family tradition she had always cherished. The local newspaper wanted to interview her about her submarine service, recognizing her as one of the few women from their small town to serve on a nuclear submarine. The article highlighted her technical achievements and dedication to duty, presenting her as a role model for other young women considering military careers. For a brief time, Sarah felt the recognition and respect her service deserved. However, the positive reception at home contrasted sharply with experiences in other locations. During her travel to San Diego, she stopped for lunch at an airport restaurant. The server, a middle-aged man with obvious disdain for her uniform, made several comments under his breath about women not belonging in the military. When she requested directions to her gate, he replied rudely that she should ask someone who cared about helping weekend warriors. The comment stung particularly because submarine service was among the most demanding and prestigious assignments in the Navy. Her Dolphins insignia, worn proudly above her left breast pocket, represented months of intense qualification training that many sailors never attempted. The ignorance behind the insult was frustrating, but Sarah maintained her composure and completed her meal in dignified silence. Advanced Electronics School in San Diego brought new challenges and opportunities. The program attracted the Navy's most promising technicians, preparing them for leadership roles in increasingly sophisticated weapons systems. Sarah threw herself into the coursework, determined to excel despite the occasional comments from instructors who questioned whether women could handle the technical demands of modern warfare. Her academic performance spoke louder than any doubts. She finished second in her class of 32 students, mastering complex concepts in digital signal processing, advanced radar theory, and electronic warfare systems. The knowledge she gained would prepare her for assignment to newer submarines with even more sophisticated equipment. During Liberty weekends, Sarah often visited downtown San Diego with her classmates. The city had a long tradition of welcoming military personnel, with many businesses offering discounts and special events for service members. Most interactions were positive, but occasional encounters reminded her that not everyone respected women in uniform. One Saturday evening, while walking with three male classmates through the Gaslamp Quarter, they encountered a group of college students who had obviously been drinking heavily. The young men made loud, crude comments about Sarah's uniform and her presence with her shipmates. Their remarks grew increasingly offensive, attracting attention from other pedestrians and creating an uncomfortable situation. Sarah's classmates moved to intervene, but she stopped them. "I can handle this myself," she said quietly, then turned to address the college students directly. "I'm serving our country with pride and honor. Your behavior reflects poorly on yourselves and shows disrespect for everyone who has worn this uniform." Her calm, confident response caught the college students off guard. Several nearby civilians had stopped to watch, and their disapproving looks toward the young men helped defuse the situation. The group eventually moved away, muttering among themselves, while Sarah and her classmates continued their evening without further incident. The experience reinforced Sarah's determination to prove herself worthy of the uniform she wore. Every slight, every questioning look, and every inappropriate comment only strengthened her resolve to excel in her chosen career. She understood that her performance reflected not only on herself but on all women who would follow in her footsteps. Her next assignment took her to Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, where she would serve aboard the USS City of Corpus Christi, a newer Los Angeles-class submarine with more advanced systems than her previous boat. The assignment represented recognition of her growing expertise and leadership potential. At 22 years old, she was being entrusted with greater responsibilities than many sailors received after years of service. The flight to Hawaii provided time for reflection on her journey so far. Despite the challenges and occasional discrimination, she had proven herself capable of handling every assignment given to her. Her technical skills were recognized by her superiors, her work ethic inspired her peers, and her dedication to excellence had earned respect from the submarine community. Pearl Harbor's historic significance was not lost on Sarah as her plane approached the island. The same waters that had witnessed the attack that brought America into World War II now hosted the Pacific Fleet submarine force. She would join a proud tradition of submarine warfare that stretched back to the earliest days of underwater combat. Checking into her new command, Sarah noticed immediate differences from her previous submarine. The crew was more diverse, with several other women serving in various ratings. The commanding officer, Commander Patricia Hayes, was herself a trailblazer as one of the first women to command a submarine. Her presence sent a clear message about the Navy's commitment to equality and merit-based advancement. The USS City of Corpus Christi operated with the same demanding standards Sarah had come to expect, but the atmosphere felt more welcoming and inclusive. Her division chief, Master Chief Rodriguez, had a reputation for developing junior sailors regardless of their background. He evaluated people solely on their ability to perform their duties and contribute to the submarine's mission. "Martinez," he said during their first meeting, "I've read your service record. You've got the technical skills and the work ethic we need. I don't care about anything except your ability to keep our systems running when we're 2,000 feet down and 1,000 miles from the nearest port." The incident that would change everything happened during a port visit to San Francisco. The USS City of Corpus Christi had completed a 6-month deployment in the Western Pacific, conducting classified missions that showcased the submarine's advanced capabilities. The crew had performed flawlessly, earning commendations from Pacific Fleet headquarters for their professionalism and tactical excellence. San Francisco's waterfront buzzed with activity as tourists and locals enjoyed the sunny afternoon. Sarah had liberty until midnight and planned to meet friends at Fisherman's Wharf before catching a movie downtown. She wore her service dress blue uniform, having just completed official business at the Fleet and Industrial Supply Center. The cable car ride from the naval facility provided spectacular views of the bay and city skyline. San Francisco had always been military-friendly, with a proud tradition of supporting Navy personnel stationed at nearby installations. Sarah looked forward to relaxing in the city's welcoming atmosphere after months of submarine operations. At Pier 39, she stopped to admire the sea lions that had taken up residence on the floating docks. The massive marine mammals basked in the sunshine, occasionally barking at each other or slipping into the water with surprising grace. Tourists gathered with cameras and phones, capturing images of the famous residents. A group of teenagers stood nearby, apparently on a school trip from somewhere in the Central Valley. Their chaperones were busy managing the larger group, leaving these 5 or 6 students to wander freely among the attractions. Sarah paid them little attention initially, focusing on the sea lions and enjoying the peaceful moment. "Look at her," one of the teenagers said loudly, pointing in Sarah's direction. "Playing dress up in that costume. Probably never even left the harbor." His companions laughed, emboldened by their friend's bravado. "Yeah, right. Like they'd let girls on real Navy ships. Must be some kind of recruiting thing." Sarah felt her face flush with anger and embarrassment. Other tourists were beginning to notice the commotion, turning to see what was causing the disturbance. She considered walking away, avoiding a confrontation that might reflect poorly on her uniform and her service. "I bet she bought that at a costume shop," another teenager added. "Look at all those fake ribbons. Like anyone would believe she earned those." The comments struck at the heart of Sarah's pride in her service. Every ribbon on her uniform represented real achievements, successful deployments, technical qualifications, commendations for superior performance. The dolphins on her chest had required a year of intensive study and examination by senior submarine officers. Her rank insignia reflected promotions earned through demonstrated competence and leadership. Before she could respond, a new voice cut through the teenagers' laughter. "Attention!" The command came from a tall man in civilian clothes approaching from behind the group. His bearing and tone of voice carried unmistakable military authority, causing everyone in the immediate area to turn and look. The teenagers fell silent, unsure of what was happening. Lieutenant Commander Michael Thompson, recently retired Navy SEAL, had been visiting San Francisco with his family when he overheard the teenagers' comments. 20 years of military service had given him a deep appreciation for the sacrifices made by all service members, regardless of their gender or specific assignments. "Young lady," he addressed Sarah directly, his voice carrying across the pier. "What's your rate and how long have you been serving?" "Electronics Technician 2nd Class Martinez, sir. 4 years active duty, currently assigned to USS City of Corpus Christi." Lieutenant Commander Thompson's expression showed immediate recognition and respect. Attack submarines represented the elite of naval warfare, and earning dolphins as an electronics technician required exceptional technical skill and dedication. He had worked with submarine crews during special operations missions and understood the demanding standards they maintained. Without hesitation, he came to attention and rendered a crisp military salute. "Thank you for your service, Petty Officer Martinez. Your submarine has an outstanding reputation in the fleet." Sarah returned the salute professionally, her heart swelling with pride at the public recognition of her service and achievements. The gesture was more than just military courtesy, it was validation of her place in the naval community and acknowledgement of her contributions to national defense. The teenagers stood frozen, finally, understanding the magnitude of their mistake. The woman they had mocked was a genuine Navy petty officer with years of submarine service, not a pretender in a costume. The ribbons they had dismissed as fake represented real achievements in one of the military's most challenging environments. Other tourists had stopped to watch the exchange, many of them approaching afterward to express their own thanks for Sarah's service. Parents used the moment to teach their children about respect for military personnel and the importance of not making assumptions based on appearance. Lieutenant Commander Thompson remained to speak with Sarah privately. "I apologize for those kids' behavior," he said. "Your service record speaks for itself. Submarine duty is tough enough without dealing with ignorant comments from civilians who don't understand what you do. Thank you, sir. Your support means more than you know. Sometimes it feels like we have to prove ourselves over and over again." "You shouldn't have to," he replied. "Your dolphins say everything that needs to be said about your qualifications and competence. Anyone who understands naval service knows exactly what it takes to earn those." The encounter marked a turning point in Sarah's perspective on her naval career. While discrimination and ignorance still existed, she realized that knowledgeable people recognized and respected her achievements. The uniform she wore with pride represented genuine accomplishments that spoke louder than any critic's uninformed opinions. Word of the incident spread quickly through military social media and veteran networks. Lieutenant Commander Thompson's gesture of respect toward a female submarine sailor resonated with service members across all branches. The story became a symbol of mutual support within the military community and the importance of recognizing merit regardless of gender. Sarah completed her enlistment with distinction, earning promotion to first-class petty officer and qualification as a submarine weapons systems supervisor. She chose to continue her naval career, eventually becoming a chief petty officer and mentor to junior sailors facing similar challenges. Years later, as she conducted training for new submarine electronics technicians, Sarah would share the story of that day in San Francisco. Her message was always the same: wear your uniform with pride, serve with dedication, and never let ignorant comments diminish your commitment to excellence. The uniform represents something greater than any individual, and those who truly understand military service will always recognize and respect genuine achievement.